Hey everybody, hope you are all having a really great Friday here at Comic-Con. We have a treat coming up next here. Artist who I'm a big fan of has worked on Doom Patrol with our DC's Young Animal line. He's done some fabulous covers for Mr. Miracle and is working on something really fun with Brian Michael Bendis in our new Walmart exclusive books. Nick is drawing Batman.
Walmart Batman.
Walmart Batman. What are you going to be drawing for us today?
I don't know. What should we do? We should draw a Walmart Batman.
You want to draw a Walmart Batman?
Okay.
Batman it is.
Yeah, I got bats on the brain, so let's keep that going. Oh, sorry. Wasn't even thinking. All right.
All right. Technical difficulties are resolved.
All right. Oh, this is going to be terrible.
So how was it being asked to draw Batman for Brian Michael Bendis?
Very intimidating. Batman is really important to me, actually. I grew up, I think I was 11 when the Michael Keaton movie came out, Batman '89.
Yep.
And it just melted my kid brain. And I think I got that tape for Christmas, and I watched it like every day for the next year.
So you have Batman down.
Yeah.
Is there any Keaton in your Batman in the books?
Well, and then after that, I was 11 years old, and so after that they released the Batman the Animated Series, the Bruce Timm Batman, and that was another obsession, and that affected the way I draw, for sure. Oh man, yeah, I wanted to be Bruce Timm for a long, long time.
We all want to be Bruce Timm.
Yeah, right. And so yeah, but even beyond that, I mean, it sounds corny, but I just love the character of Batman as well. Like it's like hyper determined guy who's super focused on doing this one role really well, and that's relates a lot to being an artist. Sure. Actually, yep. That level of obsession and focus,
dedication,
and like the idea of self-improvement and achieving something. It sounds corny, like pretend you're Batman while you're drawing. You're like, oh, I gotta do this, gotta get better. Batman lifts weights and runs across rooftops. I punch over a drawing table for 8 hours every day.
You heard it here first, kids. Pretend you're Batman when you're drawing.
It makes you draw better. But no, I grew up obsessed with Batman for sure.
Were there any other characters when you were younger, when you were sort of first realizing, I want to draw for a living, and you just zeroed in on specific characters or specific artists to, either emulate a little bit or learn from with...
oh, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, my interests were, gosh, I was a big Mad Magazine kid growing up. That was a real huge obsession. I loved the humor, the weird art styles, and that affected the way... Yeah, that's the funny thing. It's like, here I'm drawing Batman, but I'm not a normal... I have an odd drawing style compared to most people.
You call it odd, but I see a piece of art immediately, and I know it's a Nick Derington. Did that take a while to sort of evolve?
Definitely. Like I said, I was really obsessed with Bruce Timm during the '90s when I was a high school kid growing up, and
right, Bruce Timm, you see a Bruce Timm, immediately.
Yeah. And it's so bold and iconic, and it just has such a cool look to it. And then I got obsessed with the work of Mike Allred.
Yeah.
He was a huge influence, and his work on Madman. It's still probably my
I was really excited, to have him part of the DC Young Animal team as well when he did Bug.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, he killed it too. That book is a beautiful, weird thing.
Yep.
All the Young Animal books are beautiful, weird things.
Beautiful and weird. It's my favorite books are sort of in that playground for sure.
I like everybody probably here, you start just collecting comics because the cool stories, the cool art, And it was also the 90s, so like, yeah, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, the Rob Liefeld.
Yep.
I was, as much as I was into Mad Magazine, I was also into like the super mainstream fun. That energy of those years was so intense. So yeah, I was wrapped up in that world as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see how artists and people influenced by that generation are now the ones, working with the big two in a lot of mainstream books, or everybody that were influenced by Jim and those guys. Yeah,
well, that's what's so fun about the history of comics, is that it's just like it's this continuing artistic conversation happening, where you'll have every 10 years there's a new group of artists making stuff, and then there's the high school kids that are obsessively trying to do something that's like that, but they can't because it's a new generation, so they put their own spin on it. And like when I got to be like 20 in college and out of college and started to draw for a living, it was so fun to see like these high school girls in the Borders bookstore like reading manga, and I was like, oh, that's what's coming next.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's everywhere, and it's like that vibrancy and that punchiness and that style of action is and that's actually like even when you see super mainstream American stuff, it's got that flavor, and then it's all mushing together. Mm-hmm. It's great. That's what's fun about the art of comics like that, is that it is just this big, long, it's just years and years and years of artists talking to each other through drawings. Say, hey, isn't this cool? Yeah, that's cool. Let me try. Oh, I figured out something else cool. But no, I love this stuff. It's great.
And on the DC books, going back to Doom Patrol, and now with Bendis and with Gerard on Doom Patrol, what's your relationship like with the writers? As we all know that it's definitely a collaboration with every book.
Yeah.
Do you guys go back and forth on talking about the story and talking about sort of the tone and all that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like working with Gerard and working with Brian, it's been like similar and different in really odd ways, where like you have Gerard, this hardcore rock star guy who's famous for having a really famous band, and but he loves comics so much, and it's like this super creative powerhouse. And when we work on Doom Patrol, it's super collaborative, and we're like texting each other all day long. I'll take a picture of a drawing, he'll send me a sketch, so and I'll come up with an idea for a story, he'll take that, turn it upside down, and so it's like it's just that's actually an ongoing conversation on the paper, and then we'll write a script, and then we'll change the script, and we'll like it's like a month-long jam session every issue, and then you have someone like Brian, who's like dyed in the wool, like he's been doing this, pumping out scripts. Like, that guy writes like a machine.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so so you had like someone like Gerard, who was like writing comics that wasn't his first job, and then Brian, who's just like the ultimate pro. But they're both super collaborative. They're like, so what do you want to draw? What do you think would be fun right here? And if you got a better idea, let me know, and we'll go with that. Because when you're in the middle of drawing some of this stuff, you'll see a solution that they didn't see, because they're just looking at words on paper. Because like right now, I think Brian's got like 20 projects that he's like got his hands in. It's so fun to see like him going 100 miles an hour like that.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what he's gonna do with Batman.
Yeah, the guy who like put his mark on Spider-Man and Daredevil, these other like street level vigilante characters. Well, I can tell you that we're bringing some detectives back in to Batman, and that's going to be really fun. And the story is called Batman Universe, and so we're playing with that idea. Batman's going to be exploring outside of Gotham quite a bit in this. So, and that's going to be a fun thing too, is that I still want it to be a Batman comic, so I think I'm going to visually try to bring the flavor of Gotham to the rest of DCU a little bit, like visually, so that this isn't a JLA book. It's still a Batman story, That's gonna be fun.
That's got to be interesting because Gotham has always had a very specific aesthetic.
Yeah,
and this gritty, grimy, dark tone to it, as opposed to some of the other locations in the DC universe. So how do you translate that type of vibe to other locations?
That's a good question. I'm figuring it out right now.
We'll find out in issue 2.
Well, that's the fun part when you're drawing this stuff. You try to come up with your own theories of how you're going to approach it. And then the day of where it's like, all right, it's time to draw Wonder Woman's Island and make it look cool. And like, I hope I figure this out, and I got to do it fast.
Because there are the locations in the DC universe, whether it's Gotham, whether it's Paradise Island, Metropolis. They are characters on their own. You can see an image of any of those locations and know immediately where it is.
But that's also the cool thing about, again, the history of artists and their influence on these characters and whatnot, is that everyone brings their own weird style to it. So when Todd McFarlane took over Spider-Man, he totally threw out all the rules, reinvented it, and put his own spin on it. And same thing with like when Jim Lee took over Batman, it's like, okay, like you guys were drawing it like this for a while, let's totally change that around and do something totally different. It's fun. And then that goes with locations and as well. And that's actually gets really tricky too with Batman stuff. It's like there's been so many great artists that have tackled this character and put their own spin on it, and directors and costume designers, and you've had the smartest creative minds in comics and in movies and TV and animation all put their own spin on this myth, and now it gets to be my turn. It's like, what an honor.
Everything down, like the utility belt, for example. Everybody's got their own utility belt. People have their own bat symbol on the chest, their own cowl. What went into informing yours, other than Tim Burton's?
That's the cool thing. Like Tim Burton's Batman and Bruce Timm's Batman are they're like when you close your eyes and say Batman, that's like kind of like the mishmash that pops up in my mind. But you can't help but look at the Frank Miller stuff. Look at the old 50s Dick Sprang stuff, the original Jerry Robinson stuff. Everything from the beginning to end, you can't help but admire it all. Neil Adams Batman. It's like they're all legendary.
Especially almost 80 years now of history of Batman. There's a lot of homework to do.
And that's the thing too. It's like you want to do your heroes right, too. It's like, oh, if I don't know, the trunks. I'm drawing the trunks, people. They're going on. So you have one day if Frank Miller ever reads my Batman story, I hope you kind of hope that he sees the little bits that you put in that he invented and all right. Oh, this is so hard because when I ink, I can put my head really close, and now I got this thing in the way. All right, let's make this work. So inking, you come up with a plan with the pencil stuff, and then you try to keep it vibrant and loose and.
Have you always been into the blue pencil? I see a lot of blue pencil sketch from you.
Yeah, it was one of those things where when I was growing up, you read these interviews about, and you see original artwork, and you learn about the blue pencil trick. Is an old it kind of goes back to Xerox machines and photo cameras. You use a light blue pencil to sketch your drawings in, so that when you scan it or photograph it or Xerox it, it would disappear, only the black lines would remain. You wouldn't have to sit there erasing for an hour all the pencil marks that are underneath the black ink lines. And now I kind of like the look of it, so I actually use it as a design feature. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a signature there.
Yeah. Just out of dumb luck and my unwillingness to change. Yeah, lots of people are switching over to doing digital artwork, and I have still fought that trend. Yeah, so like after I do my ink and pencil drawings, I do take it into the computer, and I'll clean up little things.
Do you want to take a question or two? Does
Sure.
anybody have a question for Nick here in the audience? We are happy to take any questions you have. Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Question? Come on.
Do you have a favorite character on the Doom Patrol to draw?
Oh gosh.
Oh, good one. So many fun characters.
Yeah, well, Robot Man, he's just so much. He's this big, clanky, craggy robot he's like old and beaten up and depressed. So you're drawing this like sad, beaten up old robot in a leather jacket.
Definitely has some nicks and dents in it.
Yeah, so all that stuff is really fun to draw. And I just have a thing for robots. So you get to like push weird little features and things like that. Really fun. And he's got like a real sarcastic character and kind of a grump, and so that's like he's kind of like the Thing or I don't know or Hellboy a little bit. There's some of that, and Doom Patrol in general is really fun because it hasn't been drawn by a million people, and so like you get to and it's kind of like the ethos of that book is to like let's reinvent this thing and let's break all the rules and try to do something that's crazy. Whereas with like when you're drawing Batman, it's about like taking it like I don't know. It's about paying your respects to like this mythic figure.
Batman takes everything seriously.
Yeah.
Additional questions? Sure.
Do you wish Beast Boy was still a part of the Doom Patrol?
You know what? I think Beast Boy's too cool to be in the Doom Patrol. Because the thing, the defining factor with Doom Patrol is that they're like the outsider characters. Doom Patrol's so cool and beloved by everyone. It's like, you don't belong with the weirdos anymore. Go back to the Teen Titans, cool kid. Oh, man. But if you ever read those old 60s Doom Patrol comics where Beast Boy is like first starting up, they're so weird. Because like he was like an adopted son. And so it's like this guy like Mom, Dad, and it's like it's such an awkward flavor, and like and now he's like this hugely popular character. Yeah, it's too cool for Doom Patrol. But they're bringing Doom Patrol to a TV show, and it's going to first appear on the Teen Titans show, and they got him in that red and white jacket in some of those photos and stuff. So that's the old Doom Patrol costume colors. So it's like, oh, what are they doing? I can't wait to see. Oh man. It's a good time to be a comic book fan. Oh, gee, it's awesome. We're good on time?
Yeah, we're good. We'll let Nick finish up with this. We should probably give this away once you're done with it.
Who wants a Batman?
We can think of a good trivia question maybe to give it away to the winner. In your research, were there any surprise like facts or history pieces that surprised you?
Oh,
we can use this.
Batman research?
Yeah, Batman research.
Gosh. No, well, I've been so obsessed with Batman for so long. Nothing surprising anymore.
True.
Gosh, I spent a whole day researching Batmobiles.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I get to design.
What's your favorite Batmobile design?
Oh, that Keaton one, and it's so good. It's like it's so 80s and round and sports car-y, but also tough at the same time. Well, you're in the DC offices all the time. Like, what's the weird stuff that you've learned about some of this stuff?
For me, just being, we have the archives downstairs, right?
I got to go visit the archives.
It's
pretty
phenomenal,
cool.
And just like being in
the
that
George
room.
Clooney head down there.
Yeah, totally. Catwoman's whip is in there. I'm a Tim Burton
Mr. Freeze
89
gun?
Batman fan as well. So just being around and seeing the history, and that's just really special. Pretty much every day.
Of course, I went with a textury cape. Make it look leathery.
I got a question.
Sure.
Top 5 Batman series.
What's that?
What's your top 5 Batman comic series?
Oh shoot! Well, like probably just it's the same ones everyone else says. You know, they're like there's like they are like the Miller projects, the but yeah, that's that weird thing. I think that's odd with a lot of the great Batman comics. Are they're such unique takes on Batman, and like I think the greatest standard Batman happens in the movies and in the cartoons and stuff. So it's like if you want a weird twist on Batman, it's like okay, go watch here's Batman in the future with Frank Miller. You know, here's Batman on year 1. And when it's like Batman just doing normal Batman stuff, it's like oh, that's what Batman animated series is great at. But yeah, that's the fun thing too about being put on this Batman project is that I can I can sit around and watch Batman cartoons and call it research. Like I'm about to sit down and watch the whole Beware the Batman series. I'm like, oh, I totally missed that when that came out, and now I have it. I have to do it for research. It's my job to watch Batman cartoons.
Have you ever seen Batman Brave?
Oh, I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's way better than it has any right to be. It's like the design stuff, and I love that Batmobile that's in that. It looks so cool with the red stripes. They made the red stripes work. Oh, so good, so good.
Sure. We got a question.
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Your Mr. Miracle covers are fantastic.
Thank you.
Is it a different process approaching to draw a cover for a comic you're not actually doing the interiors for, as opposed to something like Doom Patrol where you are?
Yeah, especially something like Mr. Miracle where I wanted to do Jack Kirby right, and I also knew I was the sidekick for this project because Mitch and Tom are just killing it with the story and whatnot, and I was just kind of brought into they're so busy with making the book, they can't worry about making covers 3 months in advance before the issue's done. So I know I'm just kind of a pinch hitter to help out this awesome team. So yeah, I would come up with cool ideas, and I had kind of I guess you're reading the book, yeah. And so there's a cool a theme of duality in it where he's Scott's in the real world, he's depressed, and it's crappy and weird, and there's this fantasy god world that he escapes to. And so I was oh, there's kind of a dual. Okay, well, there's 2 of us doing covers on this book. So Mitch, I'll do all this kind of almost straightforward superhero-y covers, all in costume and more classic superhero design ideas. And then he can do the real weird avant-garde covers, and that'll kind of tie into the theming of the book a little bit. Yeah. So I try and then I also a lot of times I'm not. I'll just get a couple sentences because the covers are made way ahead of time of the actual story. Sometimes, for the first few, I think maybe 3 or 4 issues, I had some scripts or really good long descriptions of what was going to happen, and but after that it was more real vague. In this one, Calabac and Scott sit at a table and then piece out something, figure out a piece of chord. I'm okay, let's make this cool. And so that's becomes a real unique challenge. But so then it also becomes okay, this is my coolest idea, and I'll throw it at Mitch and at Tom and Jamie, the editor, and I was okay, what do you guys think? Because I want a unified agreement that this will be cool. Because I know this is their project. It's cool.
I am the knight. I am Batman.
Speaking of Batman. We got time for one more question, and we will get it wrapped up.
Hey, what's up? I wanted to know, for your first Batman story for DC, did you know that it was going to be in sort of like a mainstream market as Walmart? And
Yes.
did you abbreviate the story, or did you initially plan it like as a full-size comic or something a little bit
Man,
shorter?
I was super pumped about that aspect. Like, that was actually one of the things that brought me back into comics to work with Gerard on Doom Patrol. Was that we were going to make, because he has this huge fan base with all this music world that he's involved with. So we were going to have readers that weren't just the dyed-in-the-wool comic book people coming in and picking up the young animal books, and that got me pumped. I was like, oh, well, yes, I get to talk to like non-comic book people with comics and get comics in the hands of people that wouldn't normally go to a comic shop. And so when Jamie pitched me doing this Batman project, he was like, yeah, and this is going to be in Walmarts across the country. I'm like, and in the hands of like non-comic book people, count me in. It was like so pumped. Like, it's like I like, because it's like cool. I've been reading comics since I was a little kid. I know the language, but a lot of people don't. And so that's what I love about the Walmart project. It's like, here's some books that people that don't go to comic shops can pick up and test it out and get hooked, hopefully, and be in on what we already know is cool.
So I know we have a really big Batman fan right here. I have a trivia question for you. And if you get it right, the sketch can be yours. What is Batman's butler's name?
Alfred.
Alfred!
What? How'd you know that?
Yeah! All right, good job, buddy. The sketch is going to go to the #1 Batman fan right here. Let's give a big round of applause for Nick Derington, everybody. This Batman looks awesome. And you guys will be able to pick up the story with his Batman and Brian Michael Bendis writing in Walmarts near you. There you go, bud.